I slammed the carving knife into the turkey's breast, the blade sinking deep with a wet thunk that echoed like a gunshot in the stuffy dining room. Blood, wait.
No.
Just the dark juices splattered across the white tablecloth, staining the embroidered pilgrims like a Rorschach test of my unraveling life. You think I don't deserve this? I hissed at her, my voice slicing through the forced chatter. After I buried your dirty little secret for you, Elaine? After I let you paint me as the black sheep so you could play perfect wife. The room went dead silent, forks clattering like dominoes in a horror flick.
My dad.
Red-faced and turkey-stuffed, choked on his mashed potatoes, while my half-brother's wife clutched her napkin like a lifeline, her eyes bulging as if I'd just confessed to spiking the gravy with arsenic. It started 6 months earlier, back in the sweltering heat of a Kansas City July, when the air conditioner in our cramped family home wheezed like it was on its last breath. I'd just graduated from community college, nursing program, summa cum laude, the works, and was crashing in the basement while job hunting. Dad's place wasn't much, a split-level rancher in the burbs, the kind with faded siding and a driveway that doubled as a basketball court for neighborhood kids. But it was home. Or, at least it had been, before Elaine slithered in 5 years ago like a realtor's wet dream. All highlights and high heels, turning our bachelor pad chaos into a Pinterest board of passive aggression. Elaine wasn't my mom, God.
No.
My real mom bailed when I was 8, chasing some artist type to Taos with nothing but a suitcase and a bad check. Dad never recovered, drowning in Bud Lights and shift work at the Ford plant until Elaine showed up at a PDA fundraiser, widowed, with a teenage son in tow, and a smile that said, "I can fix you." She did, in a way. Fixed him right into forgetting he had a daughter who'd spent her formative years playing therapist to his breakdowns. I was 28, old enough to know better than to move back in, but rent in KC was a bitch, and my savings from waitressing had evaporated on textbooks. So there I was, folding laundry in the basement, when I heard the fight upstairs. Not the usual low simmer, these were fireworks, the kind that leave craters. You're delusional if you think I won't tell him. Elaine's voice cracked like a whip, heels clicking on the linoleum as she paced the kitchen. Tell him what? That you were the one who, my half-brother, Tyler, cut off. His voice a teenage squeak laced with panic. Tyler was 18 then, all gangly limbs and gelled hair. The golden boy Elaine paraded like a show pony. I froze, hamper in hand, the hum of the dryer masking my footsteps as I crept up the stairs. Peeking through the banister slats, I saw them. Elaine backed against the fridge, her manicure digging into the door handle, Tyler looming but trembling, his phone clutched like a grenade. You pushed her.
Ty.
You pushed that girl off the bleachers at prom. She broke her neck because of you, and I covered it up. I lied to the cops, said it was an accident, paid off her family with my settlement money from your father's death. And now you want to confess? To your father? To ruin everything. My blood turned to ice water. Tyler Sweet, awkward Tyler, who'd shared his Xbox with me during awkward family game nights, had assaulted a girl, pushed her, killed her. The headlines from last year flickered in my mind. Prom night tragedy, local teen paralyzed in fall. No charges, ruled accidental. Elaine's doing, apparently. Tyler slumped, tears streaming. She was coming at me with that knife.
Mom.
She said she'd tell everyone about the weed. The party. Shut up. Elaine slapped him, the crack echoing. You think that excuses it? I protected you. I made the calls, forged the statements. And if it comes out now, we're done. All of us. I should have burst in right then, called the cops, ended it. But I didn't. I slunk back to the basement, heart hammering, and spent the night staring at water stains on the ceiling, piecing together the fragments. Elaine's widow's settlement. Turns out it was hush money, funneled through shady lawyers. Tyler's sudden homeschooling after prom? Damage control. And me? I'd been the distraction, the screw-up daughter who dropped out of high school. Bullshit. It was mono and a guidance counselor from hell. The one who partied too hard, one bad breakup, one stupid night. The family scapegoat Elaine used to deflect from her perfect nuclear unit. By morning, I decided, protect the family. Or, at least what was left of it. Dad deserved better than this bombshell. So, I buried it.
Deep.
Acted normal at breakfast. Even complimented Elaine's quiche. But inside, I was a pressure cooker, hissing steam. Months ticked by like a slow bleed. I landed a gig at Truman Medical. Night shifts in the ER. Stitching up knife wounds and overdoses while replaying that kitchen scene on loop. Tyler avoided my eyes, slinking off to community college. But Elaine? She amped up the charm offensive, slipping passive-aggressive barbs into every conversation. Alexis. Honey, when are you going to get your life together? Tyler's already interning at the bank.
Or,
your father and I were thinking of redoing the basement. Maybe you could contribute. Seeing as you're staying. I smiled through gritted teeth, logging every slight in a notebook under my mattress. Evidence, I told myself. For the day I'd need it. Because revenge isn't a bonfire, it's a slow burn. Embers waiting for the wind. Thanksgiving crept up like a hangover you can't shake. Dad insisted on hosting the whole clan. Aunts, uncles, Tyler's girlfriend, bless her oblivious heart. And Elaine's sister from St. Louis, who brought her passive judgment like extra pie. The house smelled of sage and denial. The long table groaning under Mom's china, my real mom's. Actually, another jab Elaine never let land. I helped in the kitchen, chopping celery with mechanical precision, while Elaine basted the bird like it was her ego. Alexis, try not to cut yourself again, she cooed, referencing a clumsy incident last year that she'd exaggerated to Dad as drinking on the job. Tyler hovered in the doorway, scrolling his phone. But I caught his glance, guilty, flickering. Dinner hit at 6 sharp. Toasts were made, Dad slurring about gratitude, Elaine beaming like she'd invented the holiday. Then, as the pie was sliced, she turned to me, wineglass in hand, her smile sharpening into a scalpel. Alexis, we've been so patient with you crashing here. But honestly, at your age, it's time to fly the nest. This family deserves stability.
Not.
Well, you know. She laughed, light as air. But her eyes said checkmate. The table tittered awkwardly, Uncle Ray stuffing his pipe, Aunt Linda adjusting her bifocals. I felt the ember flare. The carving knife was in my hand before I registered it, plunging into the turkey with that fateful thunk. And then the words tumbled out, the hook that reeled them all in. You think I don't deserve this family? After I took the fall for your golden boy sins? After I let you bury a girl's broken body under your lies so you could play step-forward wife? The freeze was absolute. Dad's fork hovered midair, potatoes sliding off. Tyler's face drained of color, his phone slipping to the carpet with a thud. Elaine's glass trembled, red wine sloshing like blood accusations. What the hell are you talking about? Dad finally wheezed, but his eyes darted to Elaine, the crack in the facade widening. I didn't stop.
Couldn't.
The words poured like the wine she'd spilled over years of subtle sabotage. Prom night.
Dad.
Tyler didn't just accidentally push that girl. He shoved her because she threatened to rat him out for dealing.
And Elaine?
She covered it up. Paid off the family. Lied to the cops. I heard them fighting about it months ago. I've been carrying that weight, so you wouldn't shatter. Gasps rippled like aftershocks. Aunt Linda crossed herself, Catholic guilt on steroids. Tyler bolted upright, chair scraping. Alexis, you don't know. I know enough, I snapped, turning on him. You think I wanted to protect you? After you let me take the heat for every family fuck-up? Remember when Dad's truck got vandalized last year? You keyed it yourself. High out of your mind. And blamed the crazy sister. I paid for the repairs with my ER tips. Elaine recovered first, her voice a venomous hiss.
Lies.
She's unstable.
Mark.
Always has been. Remember the pills? The breakdowns? Pills? That was her twist, the one she'd planted. Flushing my antidepressants down the toilet and calling it self-medicating. But Dad's face twisted, doubt creeping in like kudzu.
Elaine.
Is this true? She flipped then, masterful as ever. Tears on cue, hands fluttering. Mark. I did it for us. For Tyler. He was scared. A kid making mistakes. We all have secrets, yours included. Remember? She shot me a glance, loaded with implication. Dad's affair. Years back. Before her. The one I'd help hush because I loved him. The table fractured. Uncle Ray muttered about family business, while Tyler's girlfriend whispered, "Babe," in horror. I stood there, knife still embedded in the bird, chest heaving. This was the revenge I'd scripted in the dark, expose the rot, watch it fester. But Elaine wasn't done scheming. As Dad stormed to the garage for a smoke, his Telfer processing bombs, she cornered me by the sink, voice low and lethal. You think you've won? I'll say you're delusional. On meds. Framing us to get back at me for stealing your father. Who's he going to believe? The daughter who ran away at 16, or his wife of 5 years? She had a point. Blood's thicker, but lies are stickier. Tyler slunk in behind her, eyes pleading. Sis.
Please.
It was an accident. She came at me. Save it, I growled. You both deserve the cage you're building. That night dissolved into chaos. Hushed arguments in the living room. Elaine dialing her lawyer on speaker for advice. Dad nursing a scotch and staring at old photos of Mom and me. I packed a bag in the basement. The notebook of grievances tucked inside. Timestamps. Overheard snippets. Even a blurry recording I'd made that July night. Insurance. By dawn, Dad knocked on my door, hollow-eyed. Alexis.
Talk to me.
We did. Over burnt coffee in the kitchen. He admitted the doubts, the way Elaine had isolated him from friends. Funneled money to Tyler's future that never materialized. I thought she was saving us, he said, voice cracking. But you've been here.
Quiet.
Holding it together. Not quiet. Seething. Elaine emerged from the bedroom. Makeup flawless. Tyler trailing like a whipped dog. Mark. We need family counseling. Alexis is hurting. Projecting. But Dad shook his head.
No.
We're calling the cops. Today. Her mask slipped, full panic. Hands wringing. You can't. Tyler's future, our life. Our life. Dad barked. The first real fire I'd seen in years. You mean your lies? Tyler broke then.
Sobbing.
It wasn't murder.
Dad.
She had a knife. I panicked. The twist hit like a sucker punch. Elaine lunged for Tyler's arm, yanking him back. Shut your mouth. But in her frenzy, she knocked over the coffee pot, scalding water splashing across the floor. Dad slipped, cracking his head on the cabinet edge, not fatal, but enough to send us all to the ER in a blur of sirens and recriminations. I rode with him in the ambulance, holding his hand, while Elaine and Tyler followed in her SUV. At the hospital, my turf, I pulled strings, got him a private room, then cornered the admitting nurse. Run a talk screen on Elaine's purse.
Discreetly. Why?
Because in the chaos, I'd seen her slip something into Tyler's water glass upstairs, a sedative. Probably to keep him quiet. Sure enough, the screen pinged positive for benzos. Not enough for charges, but ammunition. Discharged by noon, Dad confronted them in the parking lot. Winter sun glinting off the asphalt like shattered glass. Get out. Both of you. House is mine, prenup says so. Elaine laughed, bitter and broken. You'll regret this.
Mark.
I'll take everything, the savings, the narrative. Alexis started this. She's the poison. Maybe, Dad said, steel in his voice. But she's my poison. My daughter. They left in a squeal of tires. Tyler's face pressed to the window. Mouthing sorry. I watched them go. The ember in my gut flickering to ash. Revenge tasted like hospital jello, wobbly, artificial. But the real twist? Weeks later, a letter arrived. From the girl's family, the one from prom. Elaine's hush money had dried up. They'd heard whispers through the grapevine. We knew it wasn't right, the mom wrote. Your courage. It gives us ours. We're reopening the case. Tyler's arrest made the local news. Prom night cover-up unravels. Elaine lawyered up, flipping again, testifying against her own son for a plea deal, painting herself as the manipulated widow. Tyler got 5 years, reduced for youthful indiscretion. She walked. Of course, relocating to Florida with a tell-all blog that villainized me as the vengeful harpy. Dad and I, we sold the house, split the proceeds. He sobered up, started dating a nurse from my floor. Irony's a bitch.
Me?
I transferred to a better hospital in Chicago, the notebook gathering dust in a safety deposit box. Just in case. Was it justice? Hell if I know. I avenged the girl I never knew, but destroyed the brother I half-loved. Elaine's out there, scheming anew, and part of me wonders if she'd have crumbled without my spark. Readers, you'd argue, was I hero or destroyer, the betrayer redeemed, or the villain in nurse's scrubs? Thanksgiving this year? Just Dad and me. Takeout from a soul food joint, toasting to secrets unearthed. The table didn't freeze. It thawed. Chicago winters bite like a bad ex, relentless, unforgiving, turning your breath to ghosts on the wind. 6 months post-turkey apocalypse, I'd traded Casey's Flatlands for the city's jagged skyline. My new ER gig at Northwestern, a grind of gunshot grazes and flu season hysterics. The pay bumped me into a studio walk-up in Wicker Park. All exposed brick and overpriced coffee. where hipsters debated craft brews while I unwound with true crime podcasts and the occasional stiff bourbon. Dad visited once. Awkward but earnest. Hauling IKEA furniture and stories of his AA meetings. Proud of you.
Kid, he'd say.
And for the first time, I believed him. But Elaine? She festered like an untreated wound. Her blog, Shattered Vows, A Mother's Fight for Truth, popped up in my feeds. Algorithm's cruel joke. Ghost-ridden drivel. No doubt. Tales of a troubled stepdaughter sowing discord. A son railroaded by lies, garnished with stock photos of tear-streaked faces. Comment sections were a cesspool, trolls calling me a fame whore. Soccer moms clutching pearls over family betrayal. She even started a GoFundMe for Tyler's defense, raking in 5 figures from strangers who'd swallowed her sob story hook, line, and sinker. I ignored it at first. Blocked the URL. Muted notifications. Revenge was done. The cops had Tyler. The case reopened. But then the emails started. Anonymous at first. You ruined lives. Bitch. Escalating to specifics, my shift schedule. A blurry photo of me grabbing coffee outside the hospital. Paranoia? Maybe. Or Elaine's next flip. Her maw of a mouth whispering poison to anyone who'd listen. It peaked on a February night. Snow piling like unpaid bills against my window. I just clocked out. Scrubs traded for jeans and a parka. When my phone buzzed, Dad. Alexis. She's here. At the house. Says she wants to talk. My gut twisted. The house was his now. A rental in Overland Park. But Elaine knew the locks. Old habits. Don't let her in, I said. Already hailing an Uber for the airport. I'm coming. Flight delayed by weather. Of course. I paced O'Hare. Nursing a stale latte. Replaying worst cases. By touchdown in KC. It was midnight. Dad's texts a breadcrumb trail of unease. She's calm. Tyler's lawyer called. Deal's off. Then, wants to apologize? Bullshit. Elaine didn't apologize. She adapted. Like kudzu claiming a corpse. Uber dropped me at the old rancher. Lights blazing. Driveway empty, but for Dad's truck. Front door ajar. A sliver of yellow inviting dread. Inside. Voices. Dad's rumble. Elaine's silk-wrapped steel. I can't just erase it.
Elaine.
The money. The lies. I didn't come to fight.
Mark.
I came for forgiveness. For us. A pause. Then her laugh. Brittle. And for her. Alexis. I owe her that much. I stepped in. Boots shedding slush. They froze on the couch. Elaine perched like a queen. Dad rumpled in his recliner. She rose. Arms open. Stepdaughter. You look tired. Cut the crap, I said, shedding my coat. What do you want? Her eyes, sharp as ever, flicked to Dad, then me. Closure. Tyler's crumbling in there, you're doing. Pleading guilty tomorrow. 10 years now. No deal. He writes me letters. Mom, why didn't you save me? A tear. Theatrical. But it's you I blame.
You?
With your little notebook of truths. How'd you get that recording? Anyway, bugged us. Dad shifted. Elaine.
No.
Mark. Let her answer. Because I've got one for her. 2. She pulled a folder from her purse, slapping it on the coffee table. Photos, me at 16. Sneaking out the window, innocent rebellion. Me at the ER. Laughing with a coworker, captioned, partier in scrubs. And one that gut punched, a grainy shot of mom. My real mom. In a Taos motel, arm around a guy. Time-stamped years after she left. Your sainted mother? Whoring for rent money. I found the PI receipts in your dad's attic. Thought you'd want to know before you play martyr. Dad paled. You hired a PI? On my ex. For protection, she cooed. From her kind. Unstable genes. The room spun. Mom's ghost flawed. Human, weaponized against me. I snatched the folder. Photos scattering like confetti at a funeral. This is your play? Dig up dirt on a dead woman to what? Guilt me into silence. Not silence. Elaine purred. Leaning in. Alliance. Drop the charges. Testify, it was all a misunderstanding. Tyler walks. We rebuild. You get half the house equity, your reward for loyalty. Dad exploded. Get out.
Now.
But she didn't budge. Flipping again like a coin in a con. Mark.
Think.
Without me. You're alone.
Broke.
And Alexis? She's poison. Same as her mother. Ask her about the pills she stole from my cabinet, framed me for endangering Tyler.
Lies.
Layered like onion skin. The pills were hers. Leftovers from her migraines that I'd flushed after overhearing her spike Tyler's prom punch. Controversial? Hell yes. I'd play God. Deciding fates in shadows. I laughed. Cold and cracking. Alliance? You'd sell your soul twice.
But fine.
Let's talk truth. I pulled my phone, hitting play on the July recording, Elaine's voice. Damning. I covered it up. Paid off her family. Her face crumpled. Genuine this time. Turn it off. Please. Dad listened. Stone-faced. Then stood.
Cops. Now.
Sirens wailed minutes later. My call from the porch. Elaine cuffed in the living room. Mascara rivers. Begging. Alexis. He's your brother. Half, I said. And blood washes out. But as they hauled her away, obstruction. Tampering. The works. Tyler's name surfaced in her purse. A burner phone log. Calls to a shady number. Not just covering. She'd been running interference. Tipping off witnesses to vanish. The web widened. Her late husband's accident. Suspicious breaks. Per the detective's later whisper. Trial season hit like a nor'easter. Elaine's flips were legend. Pleading the fifth. Then ratting on Tyler's accomplices, high school dealers. Then retracting for sympathy. Tyler took the stand. Eyes hollow. She made me. Mom said push or pay. Betrayal boomerang. He flipped on her. Trading for juvenile sentencing. The courtroom in downtown KC was a pressure cooker. Reporters sniffing blood. The victim's family in the front row. Their daughter's photo propped like a sentinel. I testified. Voice steady. Notebook submitted as Exhibit A. Dad, beside me. Hand on my knee. You did right, he murmured. But the controversy?
Oh.
It brewed. Pundits on local news. Was the stepdaughter's revenge justice or vigilantism? Exposing family secrets. Or destroying one? Online. Factions formed. Justice for Tyler, Elaine's bots. Truth for the victim, me. Reluctantly. Aunt Linda wrote an op-ed. Blood versus. Right. Where do we draw the line?
Me?
I drew it at the water's edge. Testifying not for cheers, but closure. Elaine got 8 years conspiracy. Fraud. her schemes unraveling like cheap yarn. Tyler, for with good behavior, shipped to a youth facility in Topeka. Last I heard, he wrote me, "Hate you. But thanks for the wake-up. Dad and I rebuilt slow, weekly calls. Joint therapy, his idea, progress. He even forgave Mom's ghost, burning the PI photos in the backyard fire pit. Flaws don't define, he said. Sounded like AA wisdom. Yet the tension lingered. A low hum. Elaine's appeals dragged. Her letters from Leavenworth smuggled via friends. You think you won? Wait till I get out. Controversial decisions? Mine included burying the secret initially, then torching it. Was I avenger or arsonist? Spring bloomed in Chicago. Cherry blossoms mocking the chill in my bones. A date, barista from the corner shop. Easy laugh, hinted at normalcy. But on a rare day off, scrolling news, I saw it. Elaine's blog. Dormant. Hijacked by the victim's mom. Reclaiming the narrative for my daughter. Twist of the knife or bomb. She quoted my testimony. Alexis gave us voice. Flawed heroes exist. I closed the laptop. Poured bourbon neat. Revenge's aftertaste. Bitter. But with a chaser of maybe. Summer in Chicago is a steam bath of regret and revelation. Humidity clinging like unspoken apologies. A year after the freeze-frame Thanksgiving, I'd clawed into a rhythm, double shifts at Northwestern, yoga classes to unknot the rage, and Dad's visits turning from obligatory to oasis, him with his new lady, me with stories of patients who defied odds. Tyler's halfway house letters stopped after 3, one plea for cash, one rant, one blank apology scrawled in crayon-like script. Elaine's appeals?
Denied.
Her final flip, a jailhouse conversion to evangelical firebrand, preaching forgiveness to inmates while lawyering for early release on health grounds. I should have felt victorious. The victim's family sent a card, holiday wreath. Handwritten note. Your spark lit our fire. Grateful. Tyler's old crew scattered. Some turning state's evidence for slaps on the wrist. Even Aunt Linda thawed, inviting me to Easter brunch with a side eye and deviled eggs. But victory? It itched like wool on sunburned skin. The real unraveling hit in August. Heat wave peaking. My AC sputtering like Dad's old truck. A call from an unknown KC number. Detective Ruiz. The case's bulldog. Voice gravelly over static. Alexis? Got a development. Elaine's talking. Full confession. Wants immunity for bigger fish. Bigger? My pulse thrummed. Like, your mom. Not the Taos runaway. Elaine's PI? Dug up she didn't just leave. Overdose. Suspicious. Pills from a dealer Elaine knew, back when she was friends with your old man pre-marriage. The world tilted. Mom's chasing dreams. A cover. Elaine's first scheme. Supply the habit. Whisper doubts to Dad. Position herself as savior. She framed your mom as the flake to clear the path, Ruiz said. And the husband's crash? She tampered. Insurance payout funded the prom hush. Elaine. The spider at the web's heart. Not just protector, but puppeteer. Controversial? Understatement. She'd orchestrated tragedies like a black market maestro, flipping narratives to survive. I flew back. Economy's seat a torture rack of what-ifs. Dad met me at the gate. Grayer. Gripping my elbow. Ruiz briefed me. Jesus. Alexis. She played us all. Interrogation room at KCPD, fluorescent buzz, two-way mirror sheen. Elaine sat cuffed. Hair limp. Orange jumpsuit clashing with her pearls, smuggled.
Probably.
She looked up as I entered. Assorted. No contact rules be damned. Stepdaughter. Come to gloat. To understand, I said, sliding into the chair. Dad watched from observation. A ghost in the glass. Her laugh was a wheeze. Understand? I built empires on less. Your mother, wild.
Weak.
I helped her along.
Yes.
For Mark. He deserved better. Killed her. You mean? My voice flat. Scalpel sharp. Accelerated. Flip 1. No remorse. Just calculus. She was drowning anyway. And my husband? Break line. Quick snip. Widows get sympathy.
Settlements.
Tyler's mess? Collateral. I fixed it. Like always. Why tell now? I leaned in. The table's chill seeping through my blouse. Endgame. Her eyes gleamed. Schemer to the core. Immunity means out in 2. You drop opposition. Testify I cooperated. And I vanish. Florida. New name. Or. Flip 2. Vulnerability mask. Help me. Alexis. Be the family I never was. Tyler needs a mom. Tyler. The boy I'd half raised. Half hated. His last letter echoed. You're the strong one. Controversial decision loomed. Pardon the monster for the boy's sake? Ruiz burst in post-session. She's bluffing. No new evidence on your mom. Statute expired. But the husband's case? Reopenable. Manslaughter. Easy. Dad pulled me aside in the hall. Coffee machine humming like judgment. What do we do?
Kid?
Let her rot. Or cut a deal for peace. Peace? A myth in our bloodline. I thought of the girl from prom, her mom's fierce eyes at trial, demanding not just punishment, but prevention. Of Tyler, 19 now, GED in hand, whispering dreams of mechanic school. Of Elaine, architect of ashes, begging scraps. The climax wasn't a bang, a courtroom circus. Perhaps, but a quiet detonation in a Denny's off I-70. Dad and me over grand slams at dawn. We flip it, I said. No deal. Full exposure. For Mom. For the girl. For us. He nodded. Fork pausing. You're sure, Tyler, will survive? Like I did. Press conference followed. Ruiz at podium. Us flanking. Cameras flashing like accusatory stars. New leads in cold cases tied to Elaine Hargrove. Suspicious death of Margaret Voss. 2008. Vehicular tampering. 2015. No names for Mom, privacy shield, but the implication hung heavy. Elaine's immunity? Revoked. Her blog?
Seized.
Comments a bonfire of backlash. The divide erupted online. X threads ablaze. Elaine monster versus. Moms make mistakes. Pundits picked sides. Vigilante daughter destroys again? Versus. Finally, accountability for the untouchables. Aunt Linda called. Voice quavering. You're brave.
But.
Is mercy weakness? Readers, you'd split. Heroic reckoning. Or ruthless purge. No one's hands clean, mine least. For the initial bury. Twist landed in October. Leaves turning traitor. Parole board denied Elaine, her cooperation deemed manipulative. Psych eval screaming narcissist. But in the mail, a package. No return. Inside. A locket, Moms. Lost years ago, engraved to Alexis. My fire. Note in Elaine's script. Kept it as reminder.
Now.
Burn or wear? Your choice. I wore it. To Tyler's release hearing early. For rehab progress. He stood before the judge. Suit ill-fitting. Eyes meeting mine across the room. I get it now, he said post-ruling. Free on probation. Voice cracking. You saved me from her. From me. We hugged. Awkward. The scent of institutional soap clinging. Don't waste it, I whispered. Dad waited outside. Elaine's shadow long but fading. Family, he asked. Arm around me. Redefined, I said. Thanksgiving loomed, no frozen tables. Just us three. Dad. His lady. Tyler on Zoom from his sponsor's couch. Turkey carved clean. Toasts to survivors. But the debate? Eternal. Was my response expose? Endure. Evolve. Triumph or torment? Elaine rots. Scheming cells. But her legacy lingers. Betrayal's echo. Revenge's double edge. You decide. Villain redeemed. Or cycle unbroken. In America's heartland grind, truth's the only feast worth the freeze. Epilogue whisper. Last week. A new patient. Widowed mom. Kid in tow. Eyed my locket.
Pretty, she said.
I smiled. Keeps me honest.